Good evening. Welcome to the January 23rd meeting of the Northfield Select Board. Call the meeting to order. I believe we have any citizens' concerns that aren't already on the agenda. I'm going to hop down to our EMS appointments and ask the few of you who are being appointed to come forward, if you would, please. There's only one chair.
Mine's considered an appointment or a promotion, but these guys are
all right.
appointed. So.
Introduce yourselves.
Ethan Seacard.
Hi, Ethan.
Adam Martin.
Rachel Shearer.
My name is Tom Valley.
So some of you are new to the department, but Tom's just been.
So Ethan and Adam are both paramedics who are coming to us to fill roles as paramedics for Northfield EMS. Rachel is a new EMT basic who will be joining the department. She's also a resident in town, so she will be responding kind of on a on-call basis. These guys will be picking up mostly shifts, but they also do live close enough that they might be able to come and help out a little bit on an on-call basis. And we have one additional EMT basic who just moved to town, McClellan White, who can't be with us tonight because he's actually in the paramedic program. Mm-hmm. So hopefully he will start as a basic and then move up into the role of a paramedic. So.
We have their paperwork, and have you vetted everything looks good to you?
Everything looks good per March 48.
And they've all had their physicals right here?
Yes, they've had their physicals.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys have any questions?
Their applications look good to me.
Okay.
Me too.
Then Mama? We have 4 appointments, right? McClellan, Rachel, Adam, and Ethan? Okay. I move we appoint McClellan White as EMT, term expiring December 31st, 2018.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I move we appoint Rachel Shearer, EMT, term expiring December 31st, 2018.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sandra, I'll have to sort that out later. Adam and Ethan, are there term expirations for them? Is it the same, December 31st?
Well, they're a hire instead of an appointment.
Okay.
So it would be like a regular town employee.
Okay.
Hire.
Then I move we appoint Adam Martin and Ethan Seacard as paramedics.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for stepping up to the plate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
You too.
All right. Let's skip up now to Town Hall drainage. And Willie, we see the sandbags behind the back door. Can you give us an update on how things are going?
So there was a delay given that the homeowner hadn't gotten back to us. And I was just about to move forward, call Beta, and then she came around and she said she's willing to move forward. I left Beta a message today to talk about drawing specs for just a little plot of land that we need in order to draw the town hall drainage. This will be not done now, it'll be done towards the spring, but we have to do the paperwork now.
Sure.
So, and with, Tom said that there's a possibility of having to, this is not the technical language he used, but dig a trough through so that the water drains through. I hadn't taken that decision because I wanted to know from Jack in particular what he thought the best solution was, given your engineering background.
What's the question?
To dig in the ground like a little pathway so that the water would run to the basin as opposed to the door in the meantime.
Oh, through the parking lot itself,
Yes.
cut through the asphalt?
Well, you can certainly do that. It's difficult in the winter because you're not going to get any blacktop to put down on it once the blacktop is open, but there's always creative things that can be done. If Tom has a proposal, I'll be glad to look at it.
Will do.
One thing to keep this thing moving, we're going to need an article on town meeting either for a purchase or an easement for
the neighbor's land.
to doing this in the next construction season.
Yep.
The easement will have to show where it's going to go. If it's an article for purchase, we just need a dollar amount.
Okay. Steve, do you have any questions? Do you want to come up and talk at all?
My concern is, moving forward, is if you have any issues with drainage, with wetlands, and state requirements, which are, from what I've looked into, are pretty strict. So before, you know, you go forward looking for an easement or a purchase, I think we need to find out if we can actually do it.
Which would be a conversation with the ConsCom?
Conversation with them and conversation with the engineer.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't seem prudent to go forward unless you know you can actually do it and meet all the requirements.
Yep, that makes sense. Okay.
It did seem, I mean, we do have some plans from Beta already, and I mean, I would like to assume that they've looked into that when they put them together, but it's
I don't think it's gone that far.
Okay.
Unless the plans are more developed than what I saw.
I haven't seen any plans.
I haven't either.
So-
Neither have I, and that's why I put in a call specifically today. And as soon as I hear back from Beta, you, sir, will be on the phone with me as we've been talking about this.
I don't think we ever executed an agreement with the engineer to actually go ahead and do the work.
I don't think so either.
Okay, I'm totally misremembering. I think I was just remembering the walkthrough before all of that started.
Right, that's when we were
Yeah.
educating the engineer as to what we needed. And he came back with a proposal
Right.
after that, and that's where it stands.
He thought it was feasible, but there's nothing, there's no concrete plan.
Okay.
There is a new owner of the house to the northeast of the parking lot that maybe they'd be receptive to an easement and running a drain line down Warwick Avenue.
Going back to the original plan,
Right. The original plan, this is where town council did not serve Northfield. At that town meeting, probably 10 years ago,
right?
the easement was up for vote. Town council said you needed a 2/3 vote. It got like 60%. And then we find out, well, no, you don't need a majority vote. So we didn't think it was politically expedient to declare a post to do instant replay and say this vote does not stand. So that's where it stood. But I think with a new owner and more education of where people were coming from then, you know, it might be something that could be done.
Well, historically, there's been a problem here, even before the town hall was built. When the old one burned down in 1924, the recommendation was to build a town hall on the grounds of the elementary school because the drainage here was so bad. So 90 years later, still a problem. And it's not only the parking lot. You know, there's drains out there, but they fill up and they back up, and it's affecting the foundation. It's affecting the tile floors in the senior center. So, you know, it's kind of like you're just recirculating water out and it's coming back.
Right.
And if we lose power, then the power that runs the sump pump is going to fail and the basement potentially could flood. We've had issues with, you know, the walls down in the basement, you know, the paint comes off, the concrete deteriorates, things like that. So it's just a vicious cycle. I mean, there's, over the years they've installed drains and this, but, you know, they get filled up with sand and dirt and whatever, and they basically go nowhere. So that's a problem. Water's got to go somewhere. It was estimated for every inch of rain that falls on the town hall footprint, it's 20,000 gallons of water, which is like flushing your toilet 13,000 times. And if you had a septic system, you know what would happen if you flushed your toilet 13,000 times. So it's got to go somewhere.
Yep. Does anybody know if the sump pump was connected to the generator?
It is.
Okay, good.
Yeah, when we had the generator we put in, we made sure the sump pump was connected to that. And there is a a drain, a perimeter drain on the south side of the building that's helped somewhat, but there's nothing on the north side of the building, which is now complicated by the fire escape being built there, so I don't know how that could be engineered. But hopefully we can move forward this year and get it done. It's like the last big project. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Madam Chair, do I have your permission to ask Mr. Chairman to see something else, non-related?
No. Yes, of course.
Yesterday at the Finance Committee meeting, I was asked by Mr. Mateo about the CBC application for the town hall wiring. And I was hoping that you could explain a little bit. You're better at this. You've been doing this for the town for a long time. For the viewers that may have heard me missay phase 4. It's not phase 4. It's finishing off phase 3.
It's actually phase 3. The project was divided in 3 parts. When they did the middle of the town hall and they put in the elevator, they put in all new wiring, and they attached it to 100-year-old wiring on the end of the town hall and on the other end of the town hall. So we had to deal with 100-year-old wiring. So the first phase was to do the worst part of the building, which was the back part. The really scary stuff was behind the stage where you couldn't see it, so nobody noticed it. The second part they're working on now is to do the front half of the town hall and bring that up to specs, up to code. Phase 3 would be to take all the wires that are hanging off the south side of the building and bury them to make them safer and to restore the historical integrity of the building. It would also be bringing the fire alarm system up to current codes. And that's been run by Skip Donnell, the fire chief, and he's approved all the changes to that. So that's phase 3 will complete the town hall.
Perfect. Thank you very, very much.
Very welcome. Anything else? Okay.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
All right, on to the warrants. December 26, 2017 payroll warrant, $25,922.26.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
January 2nd, 2018 payroll warrant, $23,477.28.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
January 2nd vendor warrant, $905,385.86, which includes the assessment for Pioneer.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
January 9th payroll warrant, $30,913.19.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
January 9th vendor warrant, $78,390.70.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
January 16th payroll warrant, $25,667.35.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
January 16th vendor warrant, $27,200.61.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
January 23rd payroll warrant, $33,131.39.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And January 23rd vendor warrant, $80,761.13.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes from December 19th.
I had one change. Where did it go? On the review and approval of minutes, the last one there should be seconded by Rogers and Blythe abstained.
Yes. On which one?
The very last motion there, December 12th.
You must have mentioned that before because I already have it here.
Okay. Good.
Any other changes?
Everything else looked good to me.
Yeah.
No, look good to me.
Okay.
I move we approve the December 19th, 2017 minutes as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We did have one interim select board meeting, which was January 16th for the Board of Assessors, which is to be continued. We didn't come to any conclusions that evening, but no next date was scheduled either.
No next date was scheduled either.
Okay. Meetings attended by select board members. I think all I have had is a couple of heart committee meetings.
Nothing for me.
Nothing.
Okay. Old business. Shared human resource program from the FERCOG. Not enough towns showed interest in that program, so it's not going to happen, so no need to discuss that further, unfortunately. Floating administrative assistant. Haley, you want to kick us off with that one?
Yeah, this is my attempt at trying to help our many small little boards and commissions committees. They have some issue having people take their minutes, submit paperwork, and communicating with staff members about pertinent things to their boards, commissions, and committees. And this would be a way of the town proper in terms of departments helping the elected boards and committees. And this is the job description I came up with, and it's tailored to what that person would do. I was hoping you guys had a chance to look at it and could give me some feedback. And also, you know, you guys have all been here a long time. Tell me whether or not you think it's feasible.
Can I just ask how this role would be different from? There's, I think, some boards and committees already have a budget for someone to pay someone to do this job, but it seems like they're struggling to find someone to fill that position.
I think I predicated this on being incentivized by money. I think that part of the reason you're having issues finding anyone is because when you're on a board, they don't meet every week. Maybe they meet twice a month. And so if somebody's getting paid, they're going to get paid at the end of the month, maybe $50, $100. If they're serving more than one board, then at the end of the month, they have a little bit more than that. So it might be more incentive for them to do the work.
How would each board has their own admin line item? How would the cost be apportioned to the boards that are participating?
We would do a payroll sheet just like we do and have the department head sign off on it, and then they bring it to me and I give the final approval.
So a different timesheet for each committee?
And at the same timesheet, you could even like a different column, if you will.
The Finance Committee and the ZBA have long-term secretaries.
Oh no, we're not touching those.
Okay.
Those are career secretaries and they do a good job. It's for like the Conservation Committee is, if I were arguably with the ZBA, one of the most litigious committees you're going to have in terms of code and regulation. We want to make sure that they are fully staffed, for lack of a better word. They do a great job and they do important work, and if there's not somebody that should help them, the town can actually be liable for a lot of losses.
The only thing I would like to add is I know there's been a problem with there not being a quorum. I think if there's a quorum does not show up, the Secretary Administrative Assistant should get a minimum of 2 hours.
I like that.
If they're there.
2 hour call out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, don't call a call out.
Yeah, because then
2 hour attendance or show up fee or something. But if they, you know, they prepare for the meeting, they take time out of their life to go there, and they shouldn't have to go home without any compensation.
We'll find work for them.
Right.
That might help incentivize someone to take it on too.
Yeah.
Another thought I had for adding to essential functions, which probably is already covered, but I know sometimes posting public hearings, like in the newspaper and stuff, that can be something that boards need help with.
And sending notices to abutters too.
Right.
Willie, have you checked with any of the chairs of the committees you're thinking about?
In particular with Mr. Llewellyn, with ConsCon, and he's very excited about this.
And I think last time you said you thought it'd be about 10 hours a week?
Yeah.
I like the idea. I think it's something worth trying.
Me too.
Yeah, I hope we can find someone. So what happens next? We need to approve this and then rate the job?
Give me permission to post it, and I'm going to design a payroll sheet for it, prototype. You guys kind of look it over, tell me what you think, and then we'll fish it out to see people will be interested in it.
You need the rating committee to help you set a grade level,
It'll be the same as everyone else.
but as all the other secretary positions. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. I like it. FY19 select board budget. Last time we met, it was presented to us and you had just seen it, so just wanted to give us another opportunity if we had any questions to fire away. I know Lois had questioned the raise in salary, and that is in line with Willie's contract, so that's been answered.
I did have some questions. I forget which one I wrote them down on. The soldiers' relief benefit payments. Is that a quote or just a carryover from the previous year?
Carryover from previous years.
Because that's been changing significantly since the Afghanistan and Iraq wars. So if there's someone you can contact about that.
Thank you for letting me know that.
The elementary school maintenance and repair, I believe there's a repair in there for this year for doors going to a fire escape. And if that's not done, we lose that money available since it's in the omnibus.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, it's not a special line.
yeah, it's not a special item, article that carries over. So maybe check with the town, the school maintenance person for the district.
Tim Brand, I met with him yesterday. I went and we met with the principal and such, and I had another meeting with them on Wednesday. And they have to actually get a service to replace those doors. We wanted to see if the town could handle replacing those doors, but Sam said he can't do that. I guess these are special doors. They are meant to resist heat and such. So we have to buy them through a service.
So
Tim is getting a quote.
will that come out of this line item?
It says for $6,000.
Well, the whole line item, the two lines is 12,500 and there's 10,000 for parent work.
That's actually a previous warrant that paid for it. So that shouldn't be coming out of that line item.
Will that carry over if we don't get it done by the end of June?
If it was appropriated, Deb created an account for it, so that would create carryover. But let me check because I don't have that in front of me right now.
Street lights, is that a quote or a carryover?
That's a carryover.
Health insurance is level funded for the coming year?
Yep,
Is that from the insurance company?
that's right.
Well, that's good news.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Then, I don't know if we're discussing capital requests yet. I know it's early. We still have time for articles to come in. But the emergency services facility, I hope, is going to have some requests for design work.
It's a February 2nd date, second week of February. We're all, fingers crossed.
For emergency services?
For the title to come up clean.
Oh, okay. The fire department, the ladder truck on the list you gave us is $230,000, and last year it was listed at $350,000.
Yep, I got that right from the master capital plan list.
Okay. And then NES replace the windows. That was phased over 3 years. You're suggesting try to do it in 1 year?
I'm suggesting that should be more realistic. So this is what I found out, Jack, and my head went like this. The newest building, which is where those windows need to be replaced, was constructed in 1990. To replace all of these windows would be about $250,000, not $50,000. So what I see that is my predecessors attempting to start saving money for what would be the OPM services through a grant, the MSBA.
Okay.
The frustrating part about it is that that building is not exactly 30 years old, and that's a criterion for the MSBA. So what I've done is I've communicated with the principal and the building use committee. We're meeting again on Wednesday to find other projects that could be done with the MSBA grant now that we're going to submit. So the roof on the older building and the boilers, which should easily be $250,000 and more than 30 years old. Yes, that's what I did too.
When we get the request for articles, do you think the town should start thinking about putting away money for OPEB if there's not an overwhelming need for some of these capital articles?
Yes.
Yes.
We haven't put anything away yet.
No, there's nothing.
Yes. I mean, here's the thing, guys. The requirement on the general accounting standards have changed. The truth is that if you don't comply fully, you wouldn't get as disciplined. But as we're going into a phase of the town's life where we're going to issue debt at some point, and we're going to have to compete, not with Massachusetts, but nationally, this will impede our progress. So we want to start contributing something. And I think the Finance Committee would agree with that as well.
Then the assessor's reval, stay on top of that. Not that they're not on top of it, but previously we carried 10 grand. But this year, odds are we're going to go alone on the reval of the First Light facility or whatever it's called now. We used to go in on it with Irving, but when we had the disagreement with First Light on taxes, Irving limited our access to the consultant that did the reval. So the assessors might be, I hope they're planning to go get their own independent consultant, which would mean it would be significantly higher than 10,000, but I'm sure worth it in the long run.
This board gave me an instruction during my review. You guys told me to go amend some fences, so I tried. And the assessors and I have been in touch with Irving's assessors. And what we have access to, they've worked out for this current year. But the reval, you're right, Jack, will be by ourselves.
Okay, well, it'll be interesting to see what articles requests come in.
I have two little things. One is in the town hall fuel account. It looks like 14,000, but the last couple of years we haven't used that, I think because we're mostly using pellets. Are we still keeping that just in case for another year, or what's the plan?
So when we started to use pellets, the Energy Committee has been great at getting the data. That data will inform how much fuel we actually need. But this was done after we had participated in a group purchase bid to the FERCOG. So we're obligated until the end of that contract.
Got it.
So
I think
we did a group purchase through the FERCOG, but we're not obligated to a certain quantity of fuel oil.
No, we bought, if I'm not mistaken, for fiscal year 17 through 18, 15,000 gallons. We've only used 12,000 gallons. There was about 4,200 gallons left, more or less. And this is what's left over in that contract. So, but I can't tell how much we will actually use until that data from the pellet boiler is interpreted by the Energy Committee.
Are they going to get it to us by March?
I'm hoping. Okay,
because it seems like we could at least reduce it by, and this is a question I had also, Julia, $4,000 to $6,000 and still be pretty safe.
Yeah.
This is my hope, and Mr. Pasteris, when he was around here frequently, he let me know we're going to do something to reduce this, and I'm working on that, guys.
Okay. And then the other thing is, it looks like we don't have any kind of cost of living increase for our secretary. Is that normal?
That's a disciplinary review of Sandra's work the past year.
The finance
The
committee.
Finance
always
Committee
applies that
determines
Okay.
all employees' cost of
Just
living.
making sure, because that doesn't seem fair. All right. I think otherwise I'm satisfied.
All right, and we are meeting with the finance committee February 5th?
Yes.
Okay.
And I guess I want to update you guys regarding this budget. Today, Deb, the accountant, and myself met with IT vendor Guardian, and we went through all of these agreements, and we itemized and tried to identify how we're being charged, because it wasn't exactly clear. Some of it was piecemeal, and that's because of the way the budget system works here. You know, we have a budget process that doesn't automatically align with the private world. So we're working to lower that figure. So this figure that we asked for computer services might be a little less
Okay.
for services.
For shame.
But then, as some of our tech is getting older, we might have to replace it. So then that would offset. But I just wanted to let you guys know that this is a moving target, and I'm trying to move it down.
Do we have a replacement schedule for computers every
We
5 years or
don't,
something?
but part of what I've asked for in the service agreement is a quarterly report on the status of each device.
Okay, good.
So that we know when we should start.
Yeah, it'd be great to build that into a rotating schedule. Okay. All right, all set with the budget? Town administrator goals. Lily presented them to us last time, and I think we may have added some, and we're supposed to help him prioritize them tonight. You have handouts.
Yeah, I made some notes, from my reviews years ago. There was always a quantification aspect to goals, and I had improved time management, and to that end, if we're supposed to be reviewing, approving, and sign something, we should get it at least 2 days before the meeting. Then I have a proposed schedule for the annual town meeting warrant, a draft for review by March 16th, revised draft goes to town council March 26th, final warrant submitted for signature April 10th. It's more or less the schedule we've had over the years. The March 16th may have drifted back. The town council looks like it gives 2 weeks, but they're reviewing numerous warrants at that time of year. I got the town hall parking lot being completed next construction season, put down October 1, that could go as far as November 15th. Get the cell tower RFP out by July 1. Finish the waterproofing of town hall by August 1. Finish the Northfield Elementary School parking project by April 15th before school starts. Shoot for $200,000 in independent grant funding during 2018. That's a difficult number, but it's attainable over the course of years. It's not unusual not to be able to do it in a single year, because some projects take years to develop, and some years grant money is available and some not. The generic one, cost effectively manage projects approved by Northfield voters. Manage budgets of all departments and projects, keep boards equally informed on all issues, and keep distributing town council correspondence to the board members. So that's the first 6. I felt it'd be good to get some quantifiable numbers on that.
That's a good idea. On the idea of getting our information at least 2 days before the meeting, I'd love if it would come out with our homework packet before Sandra leaves on Thursday. I had the weekend to think about it. I had a couple things to add, but anything you'd like to add?
Not exactly. I was going to highlight a few things, but it looks like Jack has covered them basically timely distribution of complete materials. And I know we went back and forth about like some things where there's a document that's huge and you wonder whether we really want the whole thing. Might as well err on the side of giving it to us. And if you want to just, you know, summarize what it says in 3 sentences, then we can decide how much of it we're going to read. Okay. But then we get it. Right.
Yeah, just as an example, that Caldwell Road Phase 1 study, I mean, you sent us the electronic file. I mean, I certainly didn't print it out, but I was able to read it and go through the important parts. So even though it was huge, the information was available without killing too many trees.
J, I have an issue with. The hard copy, I'm going to forget. The emails, fine.
Well,
almost every single one of your boards and committees has a litigious issue right now.
Well, I'm only interested on stuff that comes to you or the select board. If there's direct correspondence with the Board of Assessors, I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't get that, or the planning board or the Concom, but stuff that comes to us.
Okay, so then I would like respectfully that to be put in this sentence, because I'm going to be held to it. And for town council, for anything that happens in the town, for any boards, they're going to send me it first.
Yep.
Well, I didn't mean for this to be cut in stone like the 10 Commandments, but Jay shall forward all town council correspondence, parentheses, to TA and or select board.
The emails, it's just a hard copy. I know that I will forget.
So
because it does sound very reminiscent of the Deuteronomy. It shall.
Yes. Jack is used to writing warrant articles.
And specs.
I am, speaking of shall independently bring in 200,000 grant funding. I think that's a lovely goal, but
if I get one for the school, I'm good.
Well,
it's hard to get grants.
I say that I kind of, Sue Draves was here for 9 years, and numerous years nothing happened. But there were long projects. The sidewalk project was about 1.2 million. The library elevator project, which, you know, it took a couple of tries on our end, I think that was 600,000. The town hall elevator was 600,000. There were numerous other smaller grants, 4 Mile Brook, the Captain Beers Plain water main. You know, again, it's if we knew someone was going to be here for 8 years, I guess I would press that number. But as a goal, you know, shoot for it.
So shouldn't it say shall endeavor to independently or shall strive to independently bring in, as opposed to shall independently bring in?
Well, shall try to independently. I don't care. But it's, again, I did not put these together but a goal, you know, and we've gone out to try to get grants for the water district. Just creative thinking about stuff. Is there grant money for mountain bike trails in the
New State Forest?
Yeah, yeah, whatever you want to call it. Has it got a name yet? Other than the old NMH property. But stuff like, you know, just it's a goal. It's not it's a criterion to live or die with. All of this stuff is you know, basically like B. What that means, finish it next construction season. C, get it going as soon as possible. D, get it done during the dry season next summer. And yes, get it finished before school starts. That's, those dates aren't, you know, reminiscent of the second coming. You have to be ready.
But we do have to be prepared if we're going to measure him against these metrics. He needs to know that that's what we're measuring him against.
But you have to, who's ever measuring him? I mean, I can't believe if you come in with $120,000 next year in grant funding, you're going to be criticized, or if the well, then
I got $1 million for a small bridge and was criticized that it didn't happen soon enough.
Well, then that's reflected of the board members, you know. And if the town hall parking lot's done by November 15th, it got done. So again, their goals, not
mandates.
Mandates. That's the word. Yeah.
And maybe if we can say to strive to bring in an average of $200,000 per year or something, just as a goal to kind of clarify that if it's not done by December 31st.
Or you can change the number. I don't care, but it's
right.
How do we get free money? You know, how do we get some Department of Agriculture money for the emergency services facility?
We get audited.
That's fine.
It's the first step.
Well, then maybe we carry a line item for a full audit for next year, if that's
a good point.
It's going on the warrant.
Okay.
So, anyways.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that was the only one other thing I was going to add. Well, I guess two. One is the town hall drainage. It would be lovely to get that done
so that we don't have to swim
before
to
next
work.
winter. Yes,
right.
And to get that ESF, the emergency services facility, built and offset some of the cost of that.
You hear that, Skip?
Is that enough feedback for you?
That is plenty of feedback, and you guys are very clear and very tough, but I like it. Thank you.
All right. New business. Our annual designation of the members of the Board of Health, Board of Assessors, and Conservation Commission's contract consultant as special municipal employees pursuant to the state policy of the Board of Selectmen adopted October 6th, 2015.
Is there a motion developed for us to do that?
That's basically it.
Oh, so moved.
Okay.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Annual report to the ABCC. And this is just saying everybody's doing fine.
Everybody has behaved and we don't have anything to report other than the fees that we collected for.
Do you need a vote on this or just signatures?
Just the signature.
Okay. Then the police hiring committee, the chief needs to hire a sergeant, and I was thinking instead of making a committee that's short-lived to just appoint the sergeant, let's just appoint a police hiring committee through the end of December in case anything else comes up.
I move we appoint Tracy Rogers, Rob Layton, Lois Stearns, Bernie Parada, and Amanda Donnell to the police hiring committee, terms expiring 12/31/18.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I don't know if this is necessary, but at least as a courtesy, all the select board chairs got a letter from the school committee or from the superintendent asking for one of the 4 select board chairs to serve on the teacher union negotiation committee. Usually it's Bob Raymond. He's excited that I volunteered instead. I was hoping he would volunteer again. But do you guys have any problem with me serving on that?
I
That'd be
move
great.
Tracy Rogers, the appointed select board rep on the school union negotiation committee.
Second, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. The FERCog annually, well, usually, thankfully, the last few years has gotten district local technical assistance funding from the state. This is similar to community compact funding and the efficiency and regionalization grants to help towns look into becoming more efficient and sharing services, etc. So it's time to get our priorities in for use of that funding if we would like any. Did you have some ideas?
I'd like us to submit for the regional planning technical assistance for large-scale utility projects involving the Northfield Mountain Pump Storage Project.
Mm-hmm.
That's already being worked on, and this would enable the COG to continue what they're doing.
Is that it?
I think so. Well, like I mentioned earlier, the COG has been doing some work on recreational marijuana assistance, but based on my communications today with Rich, the planning board feels like they can pretty much do what they need to do and seek a lot of public input without asking for help from the COG.
Okay.
There's one that I see, local officials continuing education workshop. We have fantastic staff members here, both appointed and elected, but I'd like them to use this as a resource if possible.
Yep. It is a good series.
What do you think about the Rural Policy Commission working on water and sewer, exploring technologies that could help us in our rural economic development constraints? I know we can't push anything on our water and sewer, but I'm just curious. I don't know what the COG is intending to, where they're going with this, but it might be interesting to hear from them, I guess.
You know what I don't know, because they're separate districts, I don't know that the COG has mailed them anything separately, or if they're expecting it to come through us, despite the fact that they're separate districts. Now that Steve Malsh isn't here, who's handling the water district?
Steve's gone?
Is he, well, I know he's sold the business, but he's still in town?
Yeah, his house isn't sold.
Okay.
And he's still in the water board. Yeah, at least in water. Right now the sewer department is conducting a massive study of their build out. And there might be something, Willie, you can work with them on a Mass Works grant over the year. I mean, I think they'd have a good background information to submit something. But anyways, the water districts are going to need some innovative stuff, mostly to do with the distribution systems, and in the East Northfield Water Company, the water source, because I don't know that they're going to have a waiver for that reservoir forever.
Well, and it sounded like, in fact, with the transfer of ownership, it's likely to become a problem, from what I last heard.
Well, they haven't transferred the ownership of the water company.
No, they haven't, and that's part of the reason why, I believe. They had an interested buyer, but it sounded like they weren't going to get the waiver, and they would have to either install a really expensive filtration system or put in a huge well or something. But I don't know all the details. But
well, maybe send this letter and the form to the East Northfield Water Company and the Northfield Water District.
Yeah. It's a short turnaround, but I think it's worth asking them if they're interested.
Okay.
Jack, did you have any thoughts on projects?
Well, I must say, a lot of the stuff here I would have been interested in, we've already done, the master plan, the zoning. So, you know, I guess regional opioid task force, I think we should consider participating in that. But other than that,
I guess Heather Tower, our Director of Senior Services downstairs, has communicated with me on various occasions about the possibility of what it would look like to have some sort of nursing services visit residents individually. There's a lot of liability with that, clearly, and it's a heavy responsibility. I'm curious as to what this means here. It says Regional Public Health, work with towns interested in joining CPHS.
I can tell you what that is.
I don't know if it goes beyond what we already do.
It is a regional health service, so instead of having our own health agent and public health nurse, we would buy those services from the COG.
Okay.
We'd still have our own Board of Health, but they would, instead of, I don't know that Dave Zarazinski's doing it anymore.
There was a replacement.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's to replace those services,
Okay.
which would be a decision of the Board of Health.
Board of Health. Okay.
Yep.
The other thought I had, which probably isn't really right for right now, but possibly be part of a housing needs assessment. I know there's been talk about really needing to figure out senior housing as time goes on, and it may be that somehow the COG can help us plan and figure out what that might look like.
Yeah, I was thinking of Bill McGee's big article there, and
Yeah.
I love that idea, and I don't know if that's too
Village
far
to
outside the
village.
box for them, but yeah, something in that idea would be wonderful. I'm staying out of this since it's COG related.
So do we need to come up with 5 priorities right now, or what?
By January 31st.
Okay,
So it's tonight or not, because we don't meet until February.
right.
Do we have 5 things ticked off
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
or more?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5.
And I can't remember, do they all need to be ranked? Or was
I-
it only a certain section that needed to be ranked?
Yeah, they have to be ranked.
Okay. So I'm sorry, Willie, did you say there were 5 that we have?
There
right
are
now?
5.
Would you mind reminding me what they are?
Yep. So the first one, fingers are not sticky enough here, is the regional planning technical assistance for large-scale utility projects.
Okay.
The next one, recreational marijuana assistance.
Okay.
Local official continuing education workshop. Regional opioid task force. And you explained about regional public health.
Right.
And after the explanation, I'm not sure it fits.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So I guess there's 4.
Well, and maybe the Rural Policy Commission recommendations.
Okay.
I'll rank the water, I'm sorry.
But, I mean, maybe that's not ours to rank, really.
Right. But the housing, senior housing.
That one, yeah.
That's in the place of the public health.
Yep.
So if we had to rank those 5, doing something with Northfield Mountain, the marijuana policy, the elected officials training series, the opioid task force, and senior housing, what's your feeling?
I guess I would go for the officials training, the opioid task force, the Northfield Mountain, the senior housing, then the marijuana.
I think that sounds really good, based on what I heard from Rich, too.
Okay, that works for me.
What was that order again?
The large-scale utility,
No,
Officials training,
yeah.
opioid task force, Northfield Mountain,
senior housing.
senior housing, and then the marijuana assistance.
Okay. Town administrator update. Do you have anything for us, Willie?
Just one came in, the FERC, before the regular Energy Regulatory Commission. This is an intervention, and I would like the Board of Selectmen to kind of have this and live with it a little bit. I emailed it to you guys.
Yep.
And just to summarize it in 2 sentences, we want to make sure that the towns are represented when FERC is dealing with First Light.
And how is this related to what you're doing?
It's sort of a parallel process, and so the goals of what I'm doing is meeting with the federal agencies and representatives from First Light to try to figure out if we can all agree that there's parameters for their permit for the next 40 or 50 years that everybody loves. And if we can, then First Light sends that to FERC and says, look, everybody signed on, we all think this is great, please give us the permit just like this.
Okay.
And so that's the goal. If that doesn't happen, if we can't all agree, then we're back in a pure FERC process where they submit something, it's probably not what we all want, and then if we file this intervention, it gives us essentially a seat at the table to be able to say, we'd really prefer if it was like this, FERC, please make it so, and then, we'll see how it goes from there. But the goal is not to have to use this, but to have it as a placeholder, essentially.
Okay.
And it's not open yet right now, so they have to file a particular thing with FERC that says it's time now for intervenors to apply.
So would you like us to review this for the next meeting and decide whether we want to become intervenors?
Yes.
Okay. So.
And I'm going to escalate it up to town council to tell us whether it's in our interest, because we have a delicate relationship with the hydro plant.
Yes.
We have a 38H agreement. It was vetted and scrutinized by DOR, and we don't want to disturb that.
Good point.
Right. So, I mean, I agree with that, but this should be separate from that, because this really deals with their permit conditions for the next 40 years, whereas that is our tax relationship to them.
Right.
So I think they're expecting most host towns to participate in this way.
I'm pretty sure about that.
I appreciate the fact that you're looking into that.
I'm thinking all of this stuff.
Do you have any questions, Joe?
No.
Okay.
There's one thing that's not on here, the memorandum that I sent you guys regarding the building maintenance role and pay structure.
Oh, yes.
Do you guys agree with it?
It looked fine to me.
I don't. I feel strongly against it. Something went off the rails with this position that nothing got done in 6 months. We got to figure out what that is. The voters voted for a full-time town maintenance guy in the omnibus. It looks to me like we're changing management, creating a new position for only 15 hours maintenance, 25 hours highway department. Is Tom going to be wanting more money for taking over the responsibility? Well, I want to hear from him. So I think we should discuss it at the next meeting.
I did meet with Willie and Tom and Sam a few days ago, last week, to talk it over. So, no, Tom is not expecting any more money. And we're trying to make, our idea was to make the paperwork match what's actually happening, which is that Sam's working more for the highway department than he is on town buildings.
Right, but is that what he should be doing? I would say the answer is no. And that's not what the voters voted for at last town meeting.
Do we need, so the voters voted for a full-time town maintenance person?
And for slack time, he would help out at the highway department.
So you're thinking that more of the hours should be devoted to building maintenance than 15 hours a week?
I just want to get things squared away where the building maintenance guy is doing building maintenance. Mm-hmm. There's projects to be done in town hall. I don't know what's to be done at the library or the treatment plant or the school, but there's stuff that could be done, and nothing's been done for 6 months.
It seems like some has been done, but I think it's pretty sensible to have a supervisor who, to have Tom as a supervisor for someone who's doing buildings maintenance, as that's his expertise and not a town administrator's expertise. You may be right about the percentage time spent in buildings maintenance versus highway, but I believe he's been trying to do the things that have been laid out for him. It's maybe we haven't been using him as.
But he's got to show some initiative also, and if you know stuff he's done, please let me know, because I don't see anything.
We do have a list,
Yeah.
a to-do list for him and what has been checked off. So Jack hasn't seen that. You should share that with both Jack and
I
Julie.
can.
I just think it's been sad what's happened the past 6 months. A lot of stuff got done. Jeremy did all kinds of projects when he was here, but now it's just nothing. And I know Steve Serendinsky sent a list of projects. He was pretty upset.
I think Willie has also had a talk with Sam about what the projects are and what the expectations are. So going forward, it should be very clear what's to be done and what has and has not been done.
Some of the external projects are mitigated by weather conditions. At the time where the Board of Selectmen brought up the concerns, 38% of the projects had been addressed. Since then, a good more have been done. The only thing really missing from that list are the external projects and 2 projects in Town Hall. One that requires coordination with the police chief, which Sam is going to meet with to do that.
And I imagine some has been put off until the electrical work is finished.
Right.
Like I imagine that front room
Right.
definitely needs work, but it seems like that's being forced to wait until all the electrical stuff is done.
Right. So do you still want to meet with Tom?
Well, what is the job description of this position going to be? It's now 25 hours highway and 15 hours maintenance. So there's no job description that covers that. So it seems like it's a new position. Should that go before the voters at annual town meeting?
I wasn't seeing it as a change in job description, but we were asking for a minimum of 15 hours. Not that that would be the only time he'd be assigned to town hall, but just to make sure we got something from him and that Tom didn't consider him strictly a highway department.
But if you're looking, I would say the 15 is going to be a maximum. And if Tom's managing him, he has a vested interest in using him for at least 25 hours a week.
Perhaps.
Well,
I mean, the other departments that use the building maintenance services have reported to be very satisfied with his work. In the library, for example, the transfer station. What I would like and what I think is more important is we need to see accountable what's being done, reported, and that's something that Tom would now be a part of. You know, with what I had, yeah, I was able to track what he wasn't doing, and your concerns were valid because of those numbers. He has since made up a good portion of those. So, and that's what they're there for, to set up an alarm, say, hey, we haven't seen these done, and Sam has made an effort to go ahead and get those done. Our preference is, of course, for you guys not to get red in the face and say, hey, why hasn't this been done? And see what Jack said, that initiative. And that's something that's a little more tricky, and I'm trying to work to get that from the employee.
Where would you like to go?
you're the chair. I mean, if you want to vote, fine. I don't have a problem with that. I'll vote no, but it's just a shame what's happened.
What would the motion be we'd be voting on?
You tell me, I don't know.
A motion to accept the recommendations set forth by the town administrator in the memorandum.
Yeah, I move that we accept the recommendations that you set forward in the memorandum to change the structure of our building maintenance person to be overseen by the highway department. Is that clear?
I think so. A second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay. Anything else, town administrator update?
I think I forgot something, but it'll come up soon enough.
Okay. I don't have anything not reasonably anticipated. Anybody else?
No.
Okay, no correspondence. We have a few more appointments.
Great.
To the fire department. I move we appoint as fire department officers Floyd Skip Donnell as Chief and Forest Fire Warden, David Quinn as Assistant Chief and Assistant Forest Fire Warden, Tom Holton as Captain and Assistant Forest Fire Warden, Mike Quinn as First Lieutenant, Rob Hunter as Second Lieutenant, Jeff Grover as Third Lieutenant, Amanda Donnell as Secretary Treasurer.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I move we appoint, these are just firefighters, I assume?
Correct.
Okay. As firefighters, David Adams, Mariah Anthony, Jason Brooks, Pat Burnett, Norman Calkins, Dan Shabbat, Mark Fortier, Jacob Foose, Fred Fuller, Andrew Goodwin, Robert Hunter, Chris Kalinowski, Michael Lovett, Steve Malsh, Alec Milton, Caleb Milton, Scott Milton, Don Morin, Thomas Newton, Eric Oakes, John Otto, Matt Schippa, Patrick Spedding, John Ware, and James Wright.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I used to love the fact that you had to figure out how to pronounce all those names. And as Emergency Management Director, I move we appoint Floyd Skip Donnell. Is that term to be determined?
Well, no. There's two other positions. There's the assistant, and then there's the administrative assistant.
Yep.
I put a request for Skip to get back to me on that, and he hasn't had a chance to yet. So, but he had warned me that there was going to be a delay.
So we'll just appoint Skip for now. Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No announcements. So I think the only thing I have moving forward onto the next agenda is the FERC intervening agreement. Is there anything else? Okay. The motion of the evening?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.